There's a strange sensation in the room. Can you feel it? Something is not quite right. People are starting to look at each other uncomfortably. Phones are starting to beep. I can hear a deep rumble sound. The ground is shaking. Things are starting to fall from the walls. We can hear sirens in the distance. The ceiling is cracking. People are starting to get up in panic, looking for the way out. First, survival. And then we all hope and call for help, hoping for a Superman to fly in, pick us up into the sky, put us somewhere safe, smile at us, and then fly away into the sunset. In mega disasters, foreign aid is our Superman. But our Superman does not leave. Instead, he stays to help. And this is slightly problematic because Superman is not only powerful and charming, Superman is alien. I am an aid worker for over 17 years. I love my work. I've been living in post-natural disaster zones and conflict zones for 10 years, and then I needed a break. And I stopped to research some of the most challenging learning disabilities in not-for-profits. One of the questions that came up during my research was, why do some cities recover faster from disasters? What makes them smarter in doing so? Well, some argue that the answer is simple: money. But others, including myself, say that the answer is more complex and lies in two separate issues. One is the foreign control of aid, and the second is local resilience to disasters. I add to this and say that local resilience is not only being resilient to disasters, but it's being resilient to the foreign aid itself. When a disaster hits us, we are at our most vulnerable state of our lives. And we are prone or even forced to place ourselves in others' grace or charity. In today's cities, such aid comes from outside entities, Superman-like entities. At the moment this happens, a powerful process is ignited. And this powerful process is propelled by two complementing elements. The first is the International Foreign Relief System, which reports to duty when called, just like Superman. It reports with its own mandate to save lives, relieve suffering, and ensure dignity. And it reports with its own teams of experts, its own tools, and its own ideas and plans. Yet these do not always fit the local realities and the local needs. And on the other hand, the second element propelling this process is the local recipient. The moment that they feel that their communities, their cities, do not have the capacity to respond, they relinquish all control of aid and relinquish and let go of all responsibility. And you think, what's the problem with this, right? One side direly is needing aid, desperately. And the other side is capable of providing the aid? Well, the foreign system of aid finds leaving very difficult. And instead, it becomes entrenched in the local society which invited it in. This creates a dependency culture. Now, the way this is manifested in reality is that after the relatively short period of relief, of life-saving activities, the foreign system embarked on its second phase of operations: recovery and reconstruction, promising better housing, better infrastructure, better schools, better systems of health and education. Who would say no? Yet, we know that with this comes a few other things. And as the foreign system enters, it brings with it its wealth of experts and managers and advisors, which push aside any such local capabilities. And with these come organizations that need offices and personnel that needs flats, bringing market prices to soar, making rent, commodities, petrol unaffordable to the local population, especially to the most vulnerable local population, which the aiders came to aid in the first place. And these organizations are highly professional. They come prepared. They come with pre-existing import contracts of cars, of tents, of heavy-duty equipment. They come with ready-made donations of food and clothes. They bring in free services for telecommunication and technology. Wonderful. But this means that all local players, business local players, are out of the game. And on the operational side of things, food aid. Most recently in Haiti, tons of food was shipped in, relieving immediate hunger. But it hit the local agricultural community so badly, it finds it very difficult to recover and feed its population in the long run. And after natural disasters, we find people in camps, refugee camps, IDP camps, internally displaced people camps. These camps are meant to last months at most. Instead, they last years, becoming into makeshift cities. So we all faced this disaster. Imagine you and your families in such camps for weeks, imagine, for months, for years, with foreign entities structuring your daily lives, telling you what to eat, when to eat, what to work in, if to work at all, and if to get paid for it. So, what do we do with this? It is difficult to change the way we do aid. It is so difficult that we see it repeating itself over the years. 1998, Hurricane Mitch. Then in 2004 with the Indian tsunami. Then again in Jakarta in 2006 in the earthquakes. Then again in 2010 and 2016 in Haiti. And these are just a handful to mention. But it happens again and again. So from a local natural disaster, we now have a nationwide social and economic disaster. it's difficult to do aid differently. Like parenting, we always want to be there for our children, especially when times are difficult. And our children always need and want more, no matter their age. But we know that the more we will get, after a certain point, the weaker we will become. We know that smart cities bounce back not because of fancy technologies. They bounce back because they have plans in place, plans that they made, that are owned by them, that are led by them. Therefore, these plans are realistic and possible and sustainable. I suggest 3 basic guidelines to place us on the way for smarter preparedness. The first, relief. Don't leave it for others to come and save you. Plan before. And this planning means that the disaster is commonly very localized. Rarely will it eradicate a whole nation's capability. There will always be capacities nearby that are human and manufacturing capacities that can come to your aid fast. And these capacities know you. They have an emotional connection. They have an economic tie. And they will be far more sustainable and relevant than anything external. But in order to tap into these in the moment of disaster, we need to plan before the disaster hits us. Second, recovery and reconstruction. Recovery and reconstruction is all about where you want to live, what culture you want to reconstruct in your environment. You are the only ones that know what is appropriate, what is feasible, what we need. And therefore, the more decentralized and local, the better. We start at the building level. We then plan at the street level. We then plan at the neighborhood level, interconnecting all these micro plans until we have a web of a macro city plan that fits our culture, our needs, and our vision. And it's realistic because we source and contract local actors to activate these plans. And now, the last, number 3, is external aid. Now that you planned for relief and you planned for recovery and reconstruction, you know what you don't have. You know what capacities you might be missing. You know where are the gaps in your plans. And only then do we contract external aid to come and fill these particular gaps in our plan. And foreign aid is then clearly contracted, regulated, time-bound, with a clear exit strategy. And so, sticking to one, at least one, of these guidelines will help us, no matter if you're an aid worker, a donor, a local recipient, to be better prepared for smarter recovery. Dependency on foreign aid is not a financial transaction. It's a state of mind. A state of mind that we must change and start taking action and taking responsibility by giving and taking responsibly. And doing this is not impossible. We see initiatives all over the world taking the step of doing aid differently, changing the paradigm. It's time to step out of the comfort zone of aid provision. It's time to take control and give and take responsibly. Thank you very much.